Well, guys, today is a sad, sad day. I knew this day was coming. It's been on the calendar for a while. The Trinnov Altitude 16 has to go back. Trinnov was generous enough to loan me not only their Altitude 16, but also their Amplitude 16 amplifier. And they shipped it out to me and they said, here, go ahead, try it out for 3 months, give it a shot. So I was very happy to take them up on that offer. But that means now the 3 months is up and it's time to send it back. Now, this is not a sponsored video. In fact, none of the videos that I've made about Trinnov have been sponsored. They haven't been sponsored, and so I haven't been paid to make these videos. I've received nothing in return other than them loaning me the equipment. But other than that, it's not a sponsored video. They haven't told me what I have to say. they haven't made any requirements about what type of videos to make or any of that. They just were generous enough. They're like, hey, go ahead, try out the Trinnov for 3 months and see what you think. So I have been so happy with this processor and this amplifier. This has been, honestly, this has just been an amazing experience. This has been so cool to have the opportunity to demo literally like the best of the best of the best. I mean, in the home theater world, like Trinnov sits at the top, right? So now this means, I mean, I've pretty much demoed kind of the full range. I mean, I haven't demoed every single processor and amplifier and AVR. That would be crazy. But I have used like the full range, all the way from just a basic. I think it was the Denon 760. I think that's right. It's like a 5 or 7 channel AVR, all the way up to the Trinnov and everything in between. Like I did the Marantz 7706, the Denon 3700, my Anthem AVM 70. I've set up a Denon 6800, like just a whole range of devices, processors, AVRs. And so this has been kind of the icing on the cake to have the experience of what it's like to have a Trinnov in my theater. Now, in my theater, I have Golden Ear Invisa in-wall speakers all the way around, with the exception of two of my height speakers are Kef bookshelf speakers. But this has been a great matchup to have my Golden Ear Invisa speakers paired up with the Trinnov Altitude 16 and the Amplitude 16. This Amplitude 16 has had no problem driving these Golden Ear speakers. These Golden Ear speakers, they are 4-ohm speakers, so they do take a little bit more to drive. They're still fairly sensitive. I can't remember exactly what their sensitivity rating is, but they are 4-ohm speakers, and so they do require a little bit more. And this amplifier, this Amplitude 16, has had no trouble. I've been able to drive these speakers to levels that are way too much for my ears. So I'm like, okay, all right, I got to dial it back here. But that in and of itself is quite impressive because my theater is a 9.2.4. That means that there are 13 speakers that this one chassis, I mean, obviously there's multiple amplifiers in this chassis driving those 13 speakers, but it's an all-in-one chassis, and it has had no problem driving all 13 of my speakers. And so that is quite remarkable. The other nice thing about this Trinnov setup is the cabling. So they have these really cool cables to connect. It's XLR on the back end of the Altitude 16, and then for the amplifier, it's just it all condenses down to a single pigtail, and you can connect eight connections over each one. So I just have 2 cables plugged into the back of the Amplitude 16, and then my speaker wires that are connected all to the speaker connectors. And so if you were setting this up, now my rack is pretty cluttered here because I did not remove all of the other equipment that I had in here previously. The only thing I took out was my Anthem AVM70 and then a Buckeye amp that was on this shelf. And I just removed those so that then I could plug in the Altitude 16 and the Amplitude 16. And so it's kind of messy. My rack, it's pretty cluttered. It's full. It's got a lot of gear in here. But if you were setting up with this Trinnov processor and with this Trinnov amp, it would be such a clean setup. I mean, it's just crazy, crazy clean. All you would have would be two cables that would go from the Altitude 16 down to the Amplitude 16, and then you would just connect on your speaker cables, and that would be it, aside from the power cables. But that literally would be it. I'm trying to think. There's got to be something. Trigger cable. You would have the trigger cable that would go from the Altitude 16 and then plug into the back of the Amplitude 16. But that's it. That would be the entire back of your rack. I mean, you could make that so clean and so tidy, which I love that because I really despise the rat's nest that the back of the rack always inevitably turns into. And so it's just such a cool setup. And to get this level of performance, I mean, I've gotten a lot of questions from people about the Trinnov. They're like, is it like one guy, he was like, he was pretty adamant. He said he watched one of my, I can't remember exactly which video it was, but he posted a comment and he's like, I've watched this video 3 times. He's like, I just need a straight up answer. Do I need to upgrade from my Anthem AVM90 to the Trinnov? And I was like, I mean, that's a complicated question, man. A lot of it comes down to budget. But since I didn't know his budget, I just basically told him, I'm like, look, you're going to get increased performance. Like the Trinnov is going to perform better, but if you don't have the budget, to upgrade from the AVM90 to the Trinnov, don't feel bad. Like that AVM90, it performs very well. I actually haven't even had the AVM90 in my theater, but I do have the AVM70, and so I know that the performance difference, the increased level of performance that you're going to get from going from the Anthem AVM90 to the Trinnov, yes, there is an increase in quality and performance. But honestly, having all of these AVRs and processors in my theater and trying them all out has really opened my eyes to how the differences are not as large as we sometimes think. Like you can, and I've talked about this in previous videos, if you really dial in your equipment and you really just make it perform to the most of its capabilities, honestly, it's hard to go wrong. There are units out there that are just flawed from the beginning, and they're not really salvageable, but those are pretty rare. For the most part, like you can get really good performance from a Denon, from a Marantz, for sure from an Anthem AVM70 or Anthem AVM90, and then the Trinnov. Obviously, it is going to perform very, very well. But here's the thing about the Trinnov. Where I see the best use case, the person who is going to get the most use out of the Trinnov, the one who is going to benefit the most from the performance of the Trinnov is one of two people. The first is the do-it-yourselfer, the guy who wants to just get in there and learn everything about the Trinnov, because I will tell you, this is a complicated beast. It is almost infinite, the degree to which you can customize this Trinnov processor. It is incredible. I mean, it is on a level that is unlike anything else I've experienced myself. So if you are the type of person who is going to get in there and just really learn it and master it, that is one person who's going to benefit. The other person is the one who has the budget to bring in an expert calibrator. Somebody who can come in, they already know what they're doing. They can just come into your room and over the course of a couple days, just get everything completely just perfected. That is the second person. Now, speaking on that topic, I actually talked to a friend of mine who has the Trinnov. Actually, I think he has the 32. But he did hire a professional calibrator to come in and calibrate his theater. And I will say, I did demo his theater before the calibration and after. And I will say, there was a noticeable difference, a noticeable improvement after the professional calibrated it. Specifically, where I noticed it the most was in just that tactile, hit you in the chest bass. Like that, it was kind of missing before, but after it was there. And so, if you have the budget and you're able to really to make full use of the capabilities, either yourself or hire somebody who is an expert and knows what they're doing, then yeah, those are the two types of people I would say who stand to benefit the most from having a Trinnov. For everyone else, honestly, I would just say don't feel bad. Don't look at your current setup and just think that your life would just be so magical if you just had a Trinnov. If you can make that happen, absolutely go for it. But if you can't, and I understand there are a lot of constraints, budget constraints, technical know-how, space. Like, well, actually, this Trinnov actually takes up much less space than all these other external amplifiers if you pair it with the Amplitude 16. But basically, my point is, don't feel bad if you're not able to get one. You can still make a really, really good theater with a lesser model, a lower model, from another manufacturer. So that's kind of been one of my big takeaways from having this experience, this super cool experience of having this Trinnov in my theater. And I'm just so glad that I was able to experience the Trinnov. Everyone at Trinnov, thank you so much. You guys have been awesome to work with. I have so appreciated everything you've done for me in letting me demo this unit and the support that you gave me to calibrate it, after I got it. That's the other nice thing about the Trinnov is you plug it into the network and somebody else can just remote right into it and just calibrate it. So it's super flexible and just a very powerful machine. So it's been a very cool experience. And now that I have to box it up and send it back, I will be bringing my Anthem AVM70 back. And so I'm looking forward to creating some content on that. The Anthem AVM70, also not sponsored. I purchased the AVM70 with my own money. The Anthem has not sponsored any of my videos, none of it. So I just really enjoy my Anthem AVM70, and so I have it because that's the processor that I kind of landed on. So yeah, this has been super cool, and thanks for watching.